Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to unpack a truly fascinating cultural mystery from South India. Specifically, we're diving deep into the historical roots of Konganpada, exploring how a bloody, ancient geopolitical conflict literally transformed over centuries into a vibrant, modern-day celebration. Let's get right into it. Okay, picture this incredible scene. Imagine you're right there on the street. You've got these majestic elephants draped in gold, the absolutely deafening rhythmic beating of traditional percussion, and thousands of people filling the streets in a total sensory overload of color and sound. Honestly, it looks like a massive party, right? Well, what you're actually witnessing is a full-blown reenactment of a very real, very intense war. You see, Konganpada holds a pretty incredible, unique distinction. It is the absolute only war festival in the entire southern Indian state of Kerala. While other regional festivals focus entirely on, say, harvest seasons or honoring general temple deities, this one is 100% rooted in raw military triumph. So what exactly is it? Konganpada is a modern-day reenactment of an ancient clash. It happens every single year in Chittur on the first Monday after the new moon in the Malayama month of Kumbam, which, for context, usually falls right around February or March. It's this seamless, almost chaotic blend of religion, mythology, and hardcore history, all specifically designed to commemorate a pivotal military victory. Now, the big question, the crucial thing we really need to figure out today is this. What on earth happened way back then to trigger such an explosive celebration today? To really understand the festival, we have to uncover the gritty reality of the battlefield. Section 1. The 10th century trade conflict and the geopolitics of 918 AD. To trace the history of this region, we have to look at how the tension built up over time. In the 9th century, the Chera Empire, under Gada Ravivarma, re-established its political authority in the area. But, border regions are always tense, and by 918 AD, those rising tensions absolutely boiled over. It culminated in a massive invasion of the Chittur region by the Kongu militia, who were led by the Chola king Rajayadaja. Ultimately, though, the local Chittur Nair warriors fought back hard and secured a decisive, crushing military victory to defend their homeland. But why did this happen in the first place? Well, this wasn't just some random fight. There was a massive economic incentive. Chittur was a strategic gold mine. It was highly fertile, plush with natural resources, and served as a crucial trade hub right near the Palakkad Gap in the Western Ghats. Traders from the neighboring Kongu country were always passing through, so skirmishes over trade and territory were honestly pretty normal. But the actual spark that lit the powder keg? Legend has it that Kongu traders, after losing their goods in heavy rains, flat out lied to the Chola king. They claimed the Chola locals had robbed them, specifically to provoke a full-scale invasion. This completely grounds the whole story in historical reality. At its core, this legendary war wasn't about anything mystical. It was fundamentally a battle over money, agriculture, and power. It was about controlling the incredibly lucrative flow of goods through one of the most important geographical gaps in the mountains. Section 2. Enter the divine commander and processing historical trauma. Now, history is usually written by the victors. Over the centuries, the sheer terror and trauma of this war were actually processed through the lens of local religion. The contrast is incredible. The history books show a gritty trade conflict over resources, but the local oral tradition, it insists on something way more supernatural. The myth states that the fierce goddess Bhagavathy herself took command of the Nair army to personally slay the invading Kongan militia. According to the legend, when that terrifying ultimatum from the Kongu king first arrived, the people of Chittur were absolutely panic-stricken. I mean, they were facing a much larger army. So they rushed straight to the Chittur Kavu Devi temple. They begged the mother goddess for help, desperate for some kind of miracle to save their homes. And the story goes that she didn't just bless them from afar. She literally fought alongside them. She agreed to lead the Nair warriors directly into the fray. So in this narrative, Goddess Bhagavathy becomes a highly active divine protector. This completely transformed a brutal battlefield survival story into a permanent symbol of divine feminine protection. It empowered the local community and really cemented their martial heritage. There's actually a local rock nearby called Valuvechapara, which translates to the rock where the sword was placed. It has a physical mark on it, and locals revere it to this day as the exact spot where the goddess washed her bloody sword after they won the war. Section 3. Reenacting the ancient war and history preserved in ritual. Fast forward back to the present,
and we get to see how the history and the myth violently and beautifully collide. The modern festival traces the 918 AD war step by step. It's a staggering piece of living theater. It kicks off with Chilambu on Shivaratri, where chieftains at the ancient gymnasium simulate that chilling exact moment of receiving the enemy's declaration of war. Then comes Adipath Tatu, hoisting the flag to signal total war readiness. And to launch the actual mock battle, Karinavedi, which is the deafening, explosive firing of 101 iron pipe crackers right in the morning.
Okay, this is where it gets wonderfully bizarre and deeply symbolic. During the day, there's a procession called Kutikolam. Small girls are dressed up as boys, and small boys are dressed up as girls, and they're carried on the shoulders of their fathers and uncles. Why on earth do they do this? Well, the cross-dressing actually honors the goddess Bhadrakali. Legend says that during the ancient conflict, the goddess wore a man's attire as a strategic disguise to confuse the enemy troops.
Then, as the sun sets, the whole vibe shifts completely. The oracle of the temple, who's known as the Vili Chapadu, dresses in striking red, grabs a massive sword, and leads a bunch of torch-bearing devotees through the dark streets. They march aggressively toward the historic battleground, and you can just feel that ancient martial energy coming right back to life.
By nightfall, the entire town has become a literal theater of war. First up is Olavayana, where a messenger dramatically reads aloud the original Kongan declaration of war. Then, at the historic battlefield of Chittur Kavu, rival groups actually charge on horseback, engaging in fierce mock combat. It gets so detailed, they even have a ritual called Katel Savam, where participants feign death and are carried back to relatives who stage mock wailing in funerals. Finally, the whole thing wraps up with Palu, where 4 prominent local families lead a massive, hour-long percussion ensemble just to thank the goddess for the victory. Oh, and one last detail. If you're ever there and wondering about the men fighting while wearing these massive buffalo head masks during the Pathodam ritual, yeah, that's a direct, triumphant mockery. It symbolizes the slaughtered livestock and beasts of burden of the defeated Kongan militia from over 1,000 years ago. It is just a wild display of absolute enduring victory.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's how incredibly resilient human memory is. A war over a mountain pass in 918 AD didn't just fade away. It was immortalized. And it leaves us with a truly fascinating question. By transforming a 10th century trade war into a mythical, vibrant festival, what other forgotten histories might be hiding in plain sight within our own modern celebrations? Next time you see a local festival, ask yourself, what battles are they still fighting? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.